Phew, another video done and dusted. Now we'll just set it to publish at midnight and watch those views come in. In case you missed it, there's a DS version of this game too. Oh my god, there's a DS version. The Hello Kitty Puzzle Party video. This came from a time where I was making quick videos to try and maintain a bi-weekly schedule. It wasn't the sole reason I fell into an unplanned mental health hiatus in the latter half of 2020, but it certainly wasn't good for me mentally or creatively. No one really watched it either. In retrospect, I should have put more effort into researching for that one. But in my defense, there's absolutely zero information about the DS game on the English-speaking internet. Not on Moby Games or GameFAQs, not on the unfortunately quite sparse Hello Kitty fandom wiki. Most Hello Kitty games aren't that well documented, but this is just non-existent. So let's fix that, I suppose. But first, let's recap. I don't expect you to go back and watch the Puzzle Party video first after all. So to summarize, Hello Kitty Puzzle Party is a puzzle game compilation / activity center released for the PlayStation Portable in 2009 in Japan, 2010 in Europe, to celebrate over 30 years of Hello Kitty. I drew particular attention to two things, the Picross style game and the Tasty Tidbits game. In both cases, I lamented how lacking in content either of these games were. If only there was a more fleshed out version of this. Well, just my luck, cause developer-publisher Dorasu made a Nintendo DS version too, released exclusively in Japan as Hello Kitty no Paku Paku and Logic. Paku Paku is the sound of someone eating, similar to chomp in English. So, I suppose personally I would localize that title as Hello Kitty's Snack Time and Logic. Anyway, not important. Hello Kitty's Paku Paku and Logic is similar to the PSP release, but it does away with the customizable Hello Kitty gadget and jigsaw puzzle modes. I honestly can't be too critical about those aspects since it is an activity center for young children after all. But their exclusion certainly isn't missed. In their place, the Picture Perfect and Tasty Tidbits minigames have a lot more content. Picture Perfect is a Picross style game. In case you're unfamiliar with this type of puzzle, it's of a similar vein to crosswords or Sudoku, where, using the hints along the side, you fill the squares and uncover a hidden image. The PSP game only had 35 puzzles in all, and they were also quite easy. Again, kids game, I know, but still underwhelming. The DS game ramps us up to a whopping 100 puzzles across 3 difficulty levels, and the difficulty levels are also tweaked, with easy puzzles being 5x5, medium being 10x10, and expert being 15x15. I prefer that whole setup to what the PSP version has. I haven't done every single puzzle, but I did a whole bunch, and they generally seem to offer a much more satisfying challenge on the higher difficulty too. I could easily say that this is now quite a good compilation of Picross puzzles, so that's a win for the DS version. You may notice that in the level list, it also tells you which levels have unlockable content behind them, which is a cool touch. The Tasty Tidbits game also has this. Ah yes, Tasty Tidbits. In my previous video, I was so excited to have uncovered a Puyo Puyo-like puzzle game. It's really more like Puzzle Fighter or Panicki's than Puyo Puyo of course, but the gameplay felt very similar to the modern Puyo Puyo games, to the point that, in my opinion at least, it's clear that the developers were big fans. Tasty Tidbits is a falling block puzzle game similar to Puyo Puyo. Pieces take the form of Hello Kitty faces and drop in one of several colours. In the most part, it's close to identical to Puyo Puyo, but where it differs is that in addition to matching at least 4 pieces of the same colour, creating a match also requires a fruit piece of that colour, much like the Crash Gems from Puzzle Fighter or the star pieces from Panicki's. Admittedly, this isn't an especially accessible puzzle game for colourblind individuals since all the icons look the same. One way they could have addressed this is to make the pieces Hello Kitty and her friends rather than just Hello Kitty by herself. The big downside in the PSP game was that it only had one mode available, an endless mode, and due to the low difficulty of the game and the lack of any sort of garbage blocks to hamper your progress, even as the difficulty goes up it's still just a bit boring. Having to hold the PSP sideways was also uncomfortable, and a pain in the butt to capture too, by the way. So, right away the endless mode is more or less unchanged and still as overly easy as ever, But they added a mission mode too. This is similar to the mission mode from some Puyo Puyo games, where you complete certain objectives to clear the stage. Once again, there's about 100 of these missions. I can't actually read Japanese, so the language barrier makes figuring out the objectives a bit of a challenge, but more modes is still an immensely welcome addition all the same. Sadly, there's still no versus mode however, nor any sort of multiplayer at all. Come on. It's clear from how well this game plays that the developers had to be Puyo Puyo fans, and yet this game doesn't even have the versus mode that made these games so popular. That's a massive omission in my opinion. Versus modes tend to be my favourite in puzzle games. If not that, I do enjoy a good stage clear mode like in Panel to Pond too. One downside of the DS version is that it feels a little more sluggish than the PSP version, making it just that little bit less fun to play, which is a shame because everything else about it is so much better. No need to hold the system vertically here, it's just a puzzle game like any you'd expect on Nintendo DS. But next to titles like Puzzle League DS and Puyo Pop Fever, it doesn't quite measure up in terms of gameplay, modes, and other features. Seriously, no multiplayer. And that's all there really is to this one. You can unlock the same wallpapers you can in the PSP game, just without the clock gadget to use them with. Still, I love unlockables all the same, and there's tons of Hello Kitty artwork to represent each year of Hello Kitty, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, Hello Kitty no Paku Paku and Logic, or Hello Kitty's Paku Paku and Logic. A definite improvement over the PSP version for sure, but I just can't get past how there's like no information about this one online. So what else is the Hello Kitty franchise hiding, huh? There's so many Hello Kitty games out there that aren't well documented. Many were exclusive to Japan, some of the recent ones were actually made exclusively for the European market. I think if a game doesn't come out in North America, it may as well not exist to the internet, am I right? Ooh, rare hidden gem, never left Japan, never came to the West. But it did come out in Europe, you know, west of the East. That's always a pet hate of mine. Americans calling America the West without factoring in Europe, when the term actually originally referred to Europe. That's a tangent and a half. Where am I going with this exactly? Right, so here's the thing. These games existed, and people do care about them and want to know more about them. It's worth documenting everything, even the games you wouldn't take seriously. Apathy can lead to gaming history being lost to time, something that's become quite a talking point recently. Without the work of the video game preservation community, we wouldn't have found and documented historically significant things like the Sonic 3 prototype or the Lost GoldenEye remake. Or we wouldn't be able to play games thought to be lost to time like Samurai Shodown Vive Perfect. Right now, it's more important than ever to be proactive, document everything, and keep backups too, because you never know what you may end up losing. Once again, I bring up the example of Japanese mobile game Before Crisis, Final Fantasy VII. Like, the servers for that game are just gone now, and people barely cared enough to find a way to make local backups of Japanese mobile games, and those who did didn't have the means to do so. How does an entire Final Fantasy game become lost media? Let alone the rest of Square Enix's mobile backlog. It really shows that can happen to just about anything, and with online services becoming the norm, so much more gaming legacy becomes impermanent. Hold it! I want to point out that I wrote that line quite a while ago, and the video was originally intended to come out on around about 19th of February or so, let's take a look at what Square Enix revealed 6 days after that date. Stop. There. Before Crisis, Final Fantasy VII. Not technically the original game, but a remake included in Ever Crisis. This just keeps happening, huh? Between Match of the Millennium and now this. Am I a wizard? What other game should I start randomly mentioning in videos? Well, that was a lot to take in. Let's take a look at what else developer-publisher Dorasu has done. Oh, another Hello Kitty game? Hello Kitty to Isho, Block Crash 1, 2, 3. What's this about? Oh, yeah. Moving on. Anyway, I'm definitely not done. Definitely not done. Definitely, hey, stop that. I'm definitely not done checking out Hello Kitty games. There's a lot of interesting games out there that have my attention right now. The 3DS titles are something of an interesting subject, and hey, wouldn't you know it, this one contains both a rhythm game and a puzzle game, so that might be one to watch for sure. Let me know if you want to see me dive into the Hello Kitty franchise going forward. At the very least, I would like to talk about Hello Kitty and Friends Rock'n' World Tour sometime. what was the other one? Hello Kitty and the Magic Apron as well. But in the meantime, stay tuned and be sure to stick around. But anyway, that's it for now. I didn't think I could carry an entire video on this game alone, so I thought a lot about how I could build a message from it. Game preservation is something I care a lot about and often try and start discussion on in my videos where I can. If game preservation in lost media is something you're interested in, let's have a chat about it in the comments, and of course, tell everyone you know to watch my videos and hopefully we can get the channel monetized this year. Helping my channel grow honestly does more to help me than any monetary support would, but Patreon and stuff do help me fund new and ambitious projects by letting me buy more interesting items for videos and keeping my equipment up to date. I have some important upgrades to my setup I need to make this year, so if you're able, your support is greatly appreciated. But this intro has gone on for long enough, so thank you everyone. Hope to catch you next time.